Poverty is increasing, real unemployment is increasing, and today we will discuss how the US economy is now at 0% growth. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. We're going to discuss exactly why this is occurring, so let's get into this. But first, I want to discuss Facebook. Facebook unveiled this new office in Silicon Valley. It's going to have 2,800 workers here in a single room. This is 430,000 square feet, and it apparently has the largest open floor plan in the world. So this Mark Zuckerberg has posted this picture here on his public page showing off the latest and greatest building. And right here, this is shows you a sign of an expanding company here, at least on the surface level. But this reminds me all of what happened during the dot-com boom, of how these companies were absolutely expanding beyond reason. And what they're doing here is in fact spending up all of this new investment as it comes in before they're able to create additional products that actually are worthwhile. This is exactly what's happened during the dot-com boom. If you want to know more about that, one of the best books I have found was Infectious Greed by Frank Partnoy. I believe he gets into it in there, and there have been so many, they're all sort of blurred in my mind right now, but many books regarding this. Look at this information. Key changes in Q1. Look at this, the GDP, 0. At the same time, you have $100 billion increase in the debt held by the public. So this right here shows you that it's an increasingly bad scenario. We have this situation that is getting worse every single day. The debt is increasing within the nation itself. We look at the individual, they're suffering. We're looking at corporations, they're suffering. And you can see this going into every which way and every nook and cranny. This is a big problem. Look at this. This is the chart that I showed you in the previous video. And right here, you can see it declining all the way down. We're looking at this piece of information. It is really important, in fact. And this is the Atlanta Fed's GDP Now forecast. And it has been continuing to decline over and over again. And then they came to the real scenario, or at least a more realistic scenario. It's actually negative, but at least they're willing to admit that it is around 0. That's much better than what they were saying at 5% in recent past here. And this is important as well. New orders for consumer goods. Look how bad the situation is. And they say, does this look like a recovery? And you can see that the number it is at right now is lower than previous recessions. So this is going to show you how bad this situation is. Yes, it's not as bad as it was during the financial crisis, but it's worse than many instances before it, and it's heading in that direction right now. This is just one of these indicators. Manufacturing is obviously a big direction that you need to look in to determine what could be happening in the market. This is serious also. This is out of the Wall Street Journal. FICO creates new credit metric for risky consumers. Banks could grant cards, loans to people previously unable to get a credit score. And this is how you know that they are desperate to keep the system propped up. Millions of Americans unable to obtain credit cards, mortgages, and auto loans from banks will receive a boost with the launch of a new credit score aimed at consumers regarded as too risky. So that's right. If you're not supposed to get a loan because you're too much of a risk, well, they're going to create every single possible avenue for you to get that loan. And we know from the subprime mortgage exactly what happens. I talked about it in my book with the alphabet soup of trash. Houses were purchased with a wide range of mortgage types, which should all be considered literally garbage. Some of the names are subprime interest only ARM or adjustable rate mortgages and Ninja. no income, no job or assets. There has been talks about people who had absolutely no money, no job, nothing, and they were buying 5 homes. And this is exactly what is happening again. You see them taking advantage of a system, and they will do this each and every single time when money flows in towards people. When they're allowed a loophole, when they're allowed a method, they will do that, whether it's a corporation like Facebook or whether it's an individual looking to make a quick buck. Then you look at this. Subprime loan sales ratio has risen to a record high. Subprimes are obviously really hot right now because it's a way for people who are cash strapped to get what they want. They don't want to have to rent a home, for example. They want to buy it, and they'll use these subprime mortgages to do so. It's happening with the auto loans as well. You can see that here in this chart. Doesn't really ring a bell for many who are getting themselves into the same mess that happened only a few years ago. It's quite sad. Look at this, GM month-end dealer inventory. This is in the hundreds of thousands. And you're looking at a situation where, in fact, they're promoting the fact that their sales are doing so good, but much of these cars are sitting at the dealership. They're not being purchased by individuals. So the numbers are skewed so often. It just really remains to be seen who in their right mind believes them any longer. This is one other chart that I'd like to show as often as possible. ISM manufacturing, going back, we're looking at negative numbers consistently over the past year essentially, and this is really frightening when you think about it for the market itself, declining back to levels it hasn't been at in a very long time. Just one other piece of information I needed to throw in here. You're looking at a situation in the US, for example, where the banks have gotten out of control. They're printing money with the central bank, the Federal Reserve, printing money at an alarming rate. They are obviously still doing so, even if it's done behind the scenes. And then you have Iceland. Everyone knows the situation that occurred in Iceland, but look at this. Iceland looks at ending boom and bust with radical money plan. Icelandic government suggests removing the power of commercial banks to create money and handing it to the central bank. This is out of the Telegraph, but the news is everywhere. This right here, I'm not sure that this is necessarily a good idea. Obviously, they have reasons to do so. You want to have the control in certain areas, but I don't think a central bank is the right thing to do, particularly when there is no transparency in this type of banking institution. I'm not really in full agreement with paper money to begin with, but I will definitely say that if the Treasury Department of any government were to print the money, it would be so far and beyond better than a central bank, because there is some level of transparency there that the government could have. Of course, the Congress and the Senate, they're all part of the same gang, the gang of 535, as you've heard it being called before. But at least, at the very least, there's some level of oversight. A central bank does not provide that, and that is exactly what is very frightening to me. I just wanted to throw this in here. And of course, if you have found this informative, please give me a thumbs up. It is very crucial to give me the thumbs up if you can, because that really signals not just to me, but to the other YouTubers out there that this is good information. It helps me bring the videos up to a higher level when people are searching. So I'm trying to do all I can for you. So hopefully you will do the same for me. I truly appreciate that very much. And of course, don't forget to become an insider. The Insiders is where I give out all my best intel for free. That is available at themoneygps.com. You just scroll down to the bottom, fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me with good, short, concise info.